critical and I don't really care. But I think to be fair, she might have just got, like, it depends what time you go, right? Like if you go now,
Yes.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
There's no traffic. So it depends if she goes to work at like 9, 10 o'clock and leaves at 2:30 after like 3:40 after school.
Yes,
And then it's fine, right? Like, so it looks very nice.
Yeah.
Well, the same thing, people can say, gee whiz, Charleston's a piece of cake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it just
Yeah.
It
depends
depends
on
on
what
what
time.
day, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning, it's great.
Yeah.
Except they go about 60 at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah. For me, because sometimes I have meetings at the Four Seasons Hotel.
Yeah.
And so I take university.
And that you sit for 20 minutes, half an hour.
Well, so my secret now of bypassing all of this, because I do see the traffic, by the way, is I either ride my skateboard, bike, or scooter there, right? So I have an electric scooter, an electric skateboard, and a bike. So basically I can avoid all that.
Yeah,
But every time I go there, though, I'm so glad that I'm taking alternative modes of transportation, because if you drove, oh my God, right? It's like
When you're 79 years old, you don't have to remember. Although I certainly get a Met moped.
you don't look similar.
My mother,
She doesn't. We just told her that. She said,
Definitely not similar.
my husband will let me get a moped. He says I'll fall.
The moped is actually pretty safe. I mean, as long as you get a helmet, right?
Well, but helmet means helmet head. You
I know.
what
I
helmet head
get
is?
the same issue. Yeah.
Oh, you've got helmet head? I don't think so.
No, I comb my hair when but I have. I know what you're talking about, right? So
It's different for a woman.
yeah, I know. But that's probably like the bane of like, you know, these kind of small portable electric vehicles. Is that you have the helmet head, right?
Yeah. It's worth it.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So I guess So tell me about traffic.
so when I moved here from San Francisco, and I will tell you, I've had 2 accidents. One, a bicycle accident where somebody opened their car door
Oh wow,
Ramona
scary.
and threw me off. So talking about that bike,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even let my daughter bike to
Oh
school,
wow.
and the reason is because it's not safe.
I think we need like
Bike lane like Europe,
separated,
where you
right?
are.
Separated.
Yeah, it should be actually on the sidewalk, like like if you go to Europe and you observe the streets, they
We're
all
going to
bike.
New York, right?
Yeah, right. So
In
that's
Manhattan,
true.
they have the cars moving,
Yeah,
the parked cars, and then the bike.
bike,
lanes,
exactly.
right?
That's the European
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
So, and then you're not in fear of being
Yeah.
hit by somebody,
Yeah.
right?
And then the chance of them opening the door is low
Yeah,
because
or even on Stanford,
Yeah.
you can walk and bike on the sidewalk rather than.
You know,
on
the
bike.
rule of thumb is when you're biking, you always want to leave 3 feet of space from the car door so you don't get hit by an open
And
door.
I do. And so in my case, long story, but the guy had the biggest pickup truck, and he was the 6'5" guy, and he just slammed the door.
They also need to be more careful when you open the door into the bike lane. Open it slowly so that
Yeah.
check the mirror.
yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, but and then I had I was just telling them there was this guy on a nurse or resident from Stanford. He had worked an 18-hour shift, and he was on Embarcadero. The light turned orange, and I stopped for the traffic light, right where Pally is. And he just came and rammed right into my car. And his car, both cars were totaled. And
Wow.
so it's kind of like, I think people just think, oh yeah, it's a small town and nothing happens. And
Well, safety is really important,
Yeah.
right? And especially if you want more people to bike, right? It's got to be.
Yeah.
You gotta feel safe, right? And,
Yeah.
And if you don't feel safe, you don't want to bike, right? You don't let your kids bike, right?
That's unfortunate because it puts another car on the road.
Yeah, exactly. And it's sad.
That's what
Also,
I'm
mine is 100% electric, so I have a person.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm not contributing to the pollution.
But still, actually,
Yeah, exactly.
biking is still more efficient.
Safer.
Yeah, and then
I
you
love it.
exercise
That's why I
more.
was. That's
And
why I
then
was
making the
biking.
battery is pretty harmful for the environment.
I know.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's better than an electric car, right? It's one step, but it's not
No,
totally.
but what I mean is I don't feel
Yeah.
safe. Like
Yeah.
I actually.
But if you don't feel safe, then that's a problem.
Well, I think
That must be a terrible experience to have to
I think
gone through that.
I think we need to make people feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, you could go to all the bike lanes, but if people don't feel safe, right?
Yeah.
They're not gonna take them.
Yeah, and so when I was I'll go first if you want.
Go ahead. No.
So when I moved there, like Lincoln, we have the traffic light. It's the first traffic light coming off of University
Sure.
of 101 on in Palo Alto. There's one Woodlands which goes to East Palo Alto,
Sure.
right? And so people just start like when the minute it goes green, they just assume Lincoln is a wide street and you go straight to Alma, speeding. And I try to, like, I drive at 25, and I can tell you how many people are annoyed with me for driving at 25.
Speed
Like,
limit.
yeah, the speed limit.
Yeah.
And people are like honking at me.
Yeah.
They'll like cut
Yeah.
you badly.
Yeah.
And I recently had a guy who, was coming back at
Nothing
late
driving
at
a
night.
Tesla. They
Yeah,
really-
they're like really upset.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're like, this fast car. And they're like,
You should go ludicrous mode.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, and there was this guy, he like cut me so badly, and
Yeah.
he went on 60 miles at least.
Oh yeah.
And I finally
Yeah.
caught up with him and I said, I have to get his license plate,
Yeah.
and I kind of sent
dangerous.
that in. But
Did
so,
anything happen?
no, nothing happened, but I just,
No,
like,
but
I was so angry that
Yeah.
Did you get his license plate?
I did.
You did.
But
Yeah.
did you send it to the police?
I did,
Did
but
they-
nothing
Well,
happened.
they're pretty good. I mean,
So I don't know, maybe
they'll
they
do,
might have.
they'll
they
do
were-
something. They'll
Yeah.
forward it on, and then
Yeah.
that'll be
Exactly. But the street we live on, the problem is first there's the traffic light, right?
What street do you live on?
So I live on Lincoln, between University and Hamilton. And, my neighbor's like, oh, maybe we should put speed bumps, and, people are angry about it. And I was just thinking, maybe just like Ryan Street has one, what if we put a roundabout? So,
But people didn't like the roundabouts on Lewis Road. That was.
no, because the speeders don't like it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Is
because
that what it is?
that's what happens. So like if on Brian, you can see like people are mad, right? Because they're speeding, and then they see this roundabout, and then they're like, they have to do something about
They
it.
have to stop.
They
Yeah.
have to stop. So I think the next time they speed once, but the next time
But they'll learn that.
Yeah.
Supposedly they will learn.
Yeah, and I think it kind of is saying, you're in a residential neighborhood, and
Yeah.
I think if we have like some more, and they don't have to be big roundabouts, like the one on Bryant is like a small roundabout and it tells you. And I think that makes it where they have to stop, right? And then like the other idea somebody had is like, oh, remove the traffic light on Lincoln. And I was like, then it's like they're just gonna speed through you.
Oh yes, they will. They
Yeah,
will.
so I think the roundabout might be the best idea that we can think of.
I mean, they also say roundabouts there's less collision points, so it's safer
Exactly,
overall.
it's safer, yeah.
Yeah, which is as this four-way stop sign.
And I think like the other thing on Lincoln, since we're having this discussion on traffic, let me give you all my little ideas.
Sure.
So
Oh, by the way, just to let you know, I know the feeling you had in terms of like you're trying to go the speed limit if people honk you. Because I almost never drive. And so I can only go maybe 15, 20 miles an hour, right? And in some places you're supposed to take the road because there's really no bike lane. So they call it share road. So you're there, right, and the car's behind you. And
You just get so annoyed.
Like honking, they're like
exactly,
swerving at you.
exactly.
And
That's how I
and you're
feel.
on this little bike or scooter or skateboard,
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
oh my
yeah.
god, you feel so intimidated, right?
Yeah,
No, that whenever
Yeah,
whenever they
definitely.
share the road on my bike, I try to go 25 because I don't want to annoy them behind me.
He's in
Yeah.
shape. I can't go 25.
and like people,
And it makes you exhausted.
people were joking with me. They said the problem with you is the reason you're in these accidents is you're trying to adhere to the speed limits and doing the right thing.
Well,
So,
the other thing that happens is like when it's bike or skateboard,
yeah,
the cars are tailgating. Like
Yeah.
they're only like 3
That's-
feet away, right? And you feel like I'm to fall or
that's what happened to me with that guy's his license plate.
It's just scary.
yeah.
And I think the other thing that's confusing these days because the traffic is so much is that we have all these two-way stop signs on Lincoln, and like you can see like people are just like thinking, oh, they have a stop sign, so they feel they stop first, but then you have right of way, so then they are like kind of, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
so you're always stopping, and then on Middlefield or Channing when you come, to look that no cars are coming because again that's a two-way stop sign. People are parking their cars right at the edge, so you can't see. So you're making a blind decision to go straight across. Like, and a lot of accidents
I
happen.
heard there's
because
a
of
lot
that.
of accidents there.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it's blind. You are assuming no car is coming. So I think if you said, if you kind of made that red, where people, like,
the thing
you,
is parking. The people don't like that either, right?
yeah,
So
that's true.
You're never gonna please everything.
Yeah, but I think you're going to save on the accidents because people are just crossing that street blind.
Yeah.
So to me,
Yeah.
Middlefield and Lincoln is one of the most accident-prone intersections.
And the reason is, I think, because of the cars are parked. Like you can try it. You go to today.
I've been there actually.
Yeah, and then you try it, and then you try to look left,
Yeah.
and you cannot look left, like when you go across,
Yeah.
because the
And
cars
cars are
are
parked.
there, and then you're kind of guessing,
Yeah.
but you can't come too out
Yeah.
because then somebody's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
hit you.
Yeah.
So that's my.
Yeah, it's totally difficult. And
Yeah.
And you have, I mean, your blocks are smaller
Exactly.
than our blocks.
Exactly.
You know, they're bigger blocks.
Yeah.
And so you're not constantly going through an intersection
Yeah.
and having to make those decisions.
Visions. That and
Yeah,
that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that's
Yeah.
not to speak of feeling vulnerable every minute of the day because you don't know when somebody's going to
Mhm.
hit you.
No, and then that's here, and then you bring up a good point, Gloria. It's like it's kind of like where you are. Some are 2 ways, some are 4 ways, and then people who are new, like on Bryant, like they suddenly stop in the middle of the street because they think there should be a stop sign.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
Yeah, so it's like there's all this confusion
Yeah.
because there's so much traffic. It's not just residential traffic, and there's
Pedestrians as well.
Uber and Lyft and all this confusion. So I think that's why there's more of the accidents happening. And it's change, but I think if you incorporate change with kind of making the road safe, I think that would be useful. So that's my.
But where do you think where you can't do it anymore?
I think right now we are at the point where, like, I'm always like happy when I'm across Middlefield and Channing without hitting anybody, and somebody would hit me, right?
Yeah.
And like because I'm looking through the car windows and looking. Is there's I'm like, oh, the red one went, and then the other guy come, and then sometimes there's a bicyclist, right, or somebody in the mix there too. So which
You see
can't
bicyclists running through stop signs all the time. That's very unsafe. Yeah.
But no, the guys are not. No, they have right of way. So the stop,
okay.
and I feel the bicyclists these days are more.
But
Stopping
at
at the
some
stop
stop
sign,
signs, there's
yeah.
some that bust through. I've seen with
like
earphones
rides,
in,
yeah.
and it's so unsafe.
Yeah, it is unsafe. But it's like, and again, going back to the bike thing, it should be kind of on the side of the street anyways. But I don't know, that would be a
But
huge
there's no
cost to the
space,
city.
right,
Yeah.
to put a separated bike lane there.
Yeah. Well, you move the bike lane, like on Channing, you move it in.
Okay, yeah.
And move the
Channing's
cars
one
out.
way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the right way. Because the cars are like natural barriers.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the parked cars, and so you have the bike lane near the sidewalk. right?
Sidewalk, yeah.
So you have like, you have like people walking, which is slow, and then bikes going, which is a little bit faster.
Right.
Then you have a parked car, which kind of protects everyone.
Everybody.
And
Exactly,
then you
yeah,
can
it's
move
great.
the car,
And the unfortunate thing about a bike is when you're in a car, as much as it sucks to get hit, you have that big metal barrier.
Yeah.
And as a
That's
bike,
true,
if you
yeah.
get hit, no matter whose fault it is,
No, I would feel
you're gonna
like
get injured.
like on Newell also, or like my daughter goes to Jordan, which is not me.
Oh, my son goes to it too.
Oh, okay.
What year?
8th grade.
Yeah, my son too.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my daughter.
Yeah. So Ryan Tanaka.
Okay, okay, that's good. So, which elementary school?
They went to Escondido.
Escondido.
Yeah. My daughter's now at Green as well, or Jordan.
Okay. So yeah, so that Newell Street, it's like everybody's like there's a sea of kids going through there, and then you have some crazy car person who's like in a hurry, and so they just swarm along all these kids. And I feel like if that somehow that bike lane was, I mean, I don't know how cars park on Newell. I haven't even seen that, but I think they park in the bike lane. So somehow I don't know, it's hard, but especially those school channels should be protected,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like Channing to
yeah.
Newell, and there's so many kids biking.
See, I go on when I want to go to, I have someone who takes care of our dog, and I go down Middlefield to Newell, turn left, and I go past Green and down to Newell, and left on
Right.
Newell. And that's a very low use area. First of all, it dead ends.
Right.
So it's really not, no one wants to go drive to a dead end.
You'd be surprised.
Oh,
I
well.
don't know where they're all going, but they're going somewhere.
They're
Yeah.
going, but my point is that it's not a heavily trafficked street. But once you cross Embarcadero, then,
That's true.
but see, I don't go on that long enough to even see it. I guess farther up,
Yeah.
way down is the zoo. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
No, it's both ways.
It's both
yeah,
ways,
if you go
yeah.
on school time.
Oh yeah, because they would go that way to Green.
Green,
That's
yeah.
right. Yes. Well, see, I don't.
Yeah.
I have a vow that I never go out at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That's probably
No,
a
but
good idea.
But that's when the other problem is because it's quiet these days. Waze, the new app,
Oh, yeah.
tells you to go to
Oh,
all
that's
these
right.
quiet
Yes, yes.
but they don't know it's school time or it's
Yeah.
like all
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
They don't take into account all
No,
that.
that's right. Yeah. Well, they go down our street a
And they
lot.
go then to Middlefield,
Yeah.
so they kind of
Oh
go
yeah.
Newell
Yeah.
to Middlefield.
I always make a face when I pass them.
Yeah.
Not like
So yeah, that's so I think some of the school things should be, and like the other day we heard of a friend's kid and he got like 100 stitches in his mouth finding to school.
What happened to him?
And I think in his case it was more that some other biker was going the wrong way, hit him or something.
Well, I see
like
that. I see that with Milford, because Milford
Yeah.
doesn't have bike lanes, and yet a lot of kids have to
Yeah.
go on Milford. So, like you see kids on sidewalks or going wrong.
Wrong way, yeah, there's no space.
There's no like.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
some parts of Jordan you could do it or
Yeah.
Green, but you can't on the
Yeah.
Oregon Expressway side.
Yeah.
As annoying as it makes cars behind you, if you're in a road without a bike lane, you have to take the full lane. You go to
Yeah.
the center of the rightmost lane,
Yeah.
and that's the safest way to go. Since they can't pass you, because if they pass you, if you're on the right, they might pass you and get hit on the side.
Yeah.
And if you're on the sidewalk, okay, that's not safe for pedestrians.
No, Max is right. That's
You
the right
have
way
to do that, and it's scary.
It's
and
really
it annoys the cars behind you.
Oh, the
Yeah,
cars
that's
will
law.
honk you.
Scary,
They will
yeah.
yell at you. I mean,
But that's law.
it's law, but I tell you, I guess
Yeah.
a little kid, and you have like this car behind me. Even as an
Yeah.
adult, I have a car
Yeah.
behind me, and they're
You
like,
feel intimidated.
yeah,
It's just pressure.
yeah.
Well, tell me, when are we going to get fewer cars?
That's the problem.
Well, you see like you don't have them here, but you go to some cities like Santa Monica, and they have scooters everywhere, right? And so, because like a lot of car trips are less than a mile or maybe a mile and a half, maybe. And I think of course there's a dream of self-driving car, but I think that's way out. But all these like electric, I guess we call them electric or purple electric vehicles. I forgot what they call it, but they have a certain term for it. But I think that's something that can make a big difference because,
I'm sorry, what are these called?
basically like the electric scooters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or they have a name for it, personal electric vehicles. I think that's the
No,
name.
is it
Yeah.
GEV or?
GED or something like
Or
that. Right?
so, I forgot the acronym. But anyways, whatever it is, you guys know what I'm talking about. But then basically, I think that's part of the solution. I think is to have these kind of like shared vehicles, right? Like either electric bikes or just bikes, bike shares or like the dog bikes, the scooters. But I think the thing has to be really addressed. I mean, I think there's the economics in the vehicles, but I think the other thing that's been addressed is kind of what you're saying, right? Which is you have to feel safe. Everyone at all ages, all buildings need to feel safe, right? Because if you don't feel safe, you're just not going to do it, right? I mean, or you're not going to let your kids do it because like you have to feel like it, and if we do that, then there'll be less vehicles, right? If people don't feel like it, then
Well, tell me about
I
those
felt
people that.
safer in San Francisco, than in Palo Alto because I felt that the streets, like somehow there was more structure around the streets.
What was different about the bike lanes there?
well, they're dedicated. That's
Yeah,
one
they're
thing.
dedicated. And I think they put more effort into the planning.
Well, Bryant Park Boulevard is amazing. I think that's a very
Yeah,
safe.
I mean, yes and no, but when you're at Lincoln, again, all these cars parked, you can't see a bike coming, and you're making that line straight turn to go down Lincoln or take a left.
Yeah.
Or people are like
Well,
kind of standing there
I've been on
thinking there's a four-way stop. Like
I've been backing on Bryant, and Bryant, a lot of things have to right away, and I've seen times when cars have supposed to stop and they don't stop.
Exactly.
They just roll right
Or
through, right?
because they feel,
Yeah.
they're not used to it.
Yeah.
Because the problem is some of them are two-way on Lincoln or whichever street you take, and then so they think, oh, on this one also I have right of way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then the right of way switches.
Yeah.
So you have to keep in your head that, oh, now my two-way right is actually Brian has the right
Yes, yeah.
and not me. But if you're from you,
Yeah.
you're not going to pay attention, and you're just
Right,
going to say,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm
yeah.
going to go through
Yes,
that
yes, yes, yes.
because I have that right of way."
It's annoying how it's like stop sign to one, then no stop sign, then stop sign.
Exactly. So
You
if
have to
you just
memorize
try Brian, you have to memorize it,
Yeah.
and then you have all these blind spots on Channing and Middlefield, and then people are speeding because it's a wide street.
So how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 13.
So it makes sense why you wouldn't want to bike. My parents are concerned about me biking in town.
Yeah.
Oh, I think you're a good biker because I mean you're kind of confident enough to which is the right thing to do, and I think it is a safe thing to do because you're right in front of the cars.
Yeah.
But it's just like especially low kids, right?
It's luck.
It's like
It's the wrong luck.
I almost
the
got
wrong-
hit by a car the other day when they were trying to turn right and I was going straight. It was outside of Piazza's and I was anticipating it because I saw the right turn signal on. But you can't expect kids that are like 10 years old to look for the right turn signal.
Yeah, exactly.
And had I not seen that, I'd gone a little bit faster. I would have been hit. But I was ready. I was ready to brake.
Let me ask you a question. It's my perception that all the cars that are coming off and going on to university are from the freeway.
that's probably a fair assessment.
Fair assessment?
Yeah.
I think it probably is.
Yeah.
Okay, and where are those
Or
cars?
going to Home Depot.
And where are
Or
those
Ikea.
cars going?
From where?
I
Where are they going?
from the freeway or so for me
There's a lot of businesses over there.
for me, I've actually even learned to go to Home Depot. Without,
sorry?
I could go to Home Depot
Oh,
without
yes,
without
yeah.
without driving.
Mhm.
Just for small stuff. But if I have to get like a big 2x4, I can't put that on my bike, right? So I
You
would
have
drive.
to take your car.
I have to take my car, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
How many other people do you think are in that situation?
yeah, probably a lot.
Probably
right?
majority
Yeah.
of people when they go
So-
to Home Depot, they take their car.
Yeah. So but that would be interesting to actually see where the cars go, right? Because
Well, let me tell you where they go. I've lived here for 43 years, okay? And I'll tell you where they go. They will go, coming in that way, they will go to Stanford is one. They will use it as a shortcut to go to Menlo Park, that's another. They will use it as a shortcut to either turn on to Middlefield, to turn on to Middlefield, or they'll go down to El Camino Real, and they'll turn left. Now, where are they going? Very likely they're going through Palo Alto to get someplace else.
it's true. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
Now, Howard, tell me, I'm interested in knowing what kinds of ideas do you have in order to change that behavior?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is actually really perceptive because
That's
You
a
know,
good point.
people think Palo Alto is an island and that all the traffic is going to Palo Alto, but a lot of it is actually cut through, right? People are just coming through. So within the city, I think portable electric vehicles or bike sharing and stuff like that, I think it's going to help. But for what you're talking about, that wouldn't help, right? I mean, all that kind of cut through traffic is what it is.
Oh, they're going to, I forgot one. They're going, can you turn up the San yeah, you can.
Which
we
trucks-
Well, not if you go through Palo Alto down Alma. You come in to El Camino, you have to go right. You can't go across the Sand Hill. But you can go down Embarcadero, turn right onto
El Camino.
El Camino,
And
go
then
down,
left
and
at
then
the same.
left. Okay, so they're going there. So those are going to 280. I forgot that.
You just have to make it slower and more inconvenient for them to get through because if it no longer becomes the fastest route, they're going to go somewhere else.
Well,
Well,
then you know where they're going to go. I mean,
they're
come
going to
on,
Menlo
folks.
Park.
Well, they're going to go down a back street.
Well, I think the ultimate solution really is, so I just came back from China like this morning. Right? So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, so
This is
but-
cruel and unjust punishment.
no, that's okay. It's I read this every Sunday, but just anyways, coming back from China, I go to Shenzhen quite a bit, and so in Shenzhen, the traffic's been getting better and better,
Has it really?
and it's like
That's what I was
Yeah.
telling somebody too. They're getting, like even India, they're getting better.
Yeah,
and
and-
we're
and-
getting worse.
and like I asked my employees, they're like, why, what happened to all the traffic, right? It seems like every time I come here, it's like it's getting better, right? And there's two things that they're doing.
Subway, right?
Yeah, that's right,
It's
Subway.
Subway.
So they've opened like 15 new like subway lines, right? So
Oh, really?
like
Oh,
over the past,
that
yeah,
good.
The subway, I was in Shanghai over the summer. It was so nice, the subway.
Yeah,
You couldn't get
yeah.
to anywhere. It's
yeah.
so fast, so
Uh-huh.
cheap.
Yes,
and it's
yeah,
so convenient.
Yeah.
So the subway is one big thing. So that has took off like a tremendous number of cars.
Uh-huh.
The second big thing is all these like bike shares, portable electric vehicles, right? And so the combination of the two things has like turned to be like would it be total gridlock, right? You go from
Sure.
anywhere in the city, it's just like total gridlock to like like there's less cars. I'm like, I asked them like, what happened to all the cars, right? Where are all the cars, right? And it's like, yeah, you say like basically, for instance, all my employees in Shenzhen, all of them take public transit.
Yeah.
Because it's much more convenient. It's much faster, actually.
Where do they live outside of Shenzhen? In other words,
Well, Shenzhen's a big city, so
I've been there, yes.
Yeah.
So basically, the subways are taking them out, and that's then where
well,
they
they're still
live.
in Shenzhen, but they have like a downtown area, right?
I know they do, but where are the residents?
They're usually north of
It's
Shenzhen.
my sense that they're out.
Yeah.
So when they need to go to get Home Depot,
Well, they don't do
well,
that.
just
with
even,
their-
but you.
Yeah.
You get my point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Home Depot or grocery
IKEA.
store, IKEA or Nordstrom's or any place. They're already out there, and they still could use a bicycle, or they may, depending on what they're doing, they go to the grocery store or Home Depot, they're going to get a car. So, but they're out. They're not here. They're not out.
That's a good point.
I don't, I'm not quite sure, but that's the.
But one thing that comes up is one point of observation is like here, if you want to take a Caltrain, like even though I live so close to the Caltrain, I cannot take the Caltrain because I have to think, I have to maybe Uber it or carpool it.
You don't live that close.
I don't, but I could
really
walk.
don't.
I could walk.
It'd be
I
good
can't-
exercise.
I'm not gonna hustle it. I'm not gonna walk.
But it's not. I mean, it's a long walk,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Especially. But the thing is, the reason is there's no place to park your car. So talking about like
Yes,
public
yeah,
transportation, if you had parking downtown that actually got you to Caltrain,
Yeah.
and then
People would
somebody
use it.
said, the trick is you give up your car at the hotel across at the West End,
Yeah.
and they'll park it for you
Yes,
for $20,
yeah.
and then you go and take the
But
But
cab.
that's just expensive
And
then.
then I'm like, well, if you're doing it every day, you're
Yeah.
paying 40,
Yeah.
$20.
Yeah.
And
But down California, and I go to California, but I never go to downtown Palo
Is there
Never,
parking
never.
in California?
Alto. Yes, down in California,
There's enough.
if you come to the Caltrain, there's a fair amount of parking there. Not as much as they should be, but they're about to build a huge multiple.
But it's also less used stations. So it's
But
probably
the problem is the Caltrain,
No,
there's
that's
no
used a
bullet
lot.
trains.
That's used a lot.
But the bullet trains don't go from that
Yeah,
station, they go from
Palo Alto,
the University
Yeah,
Avenue.
the
Yeah.
bullet trains in Palo Alto are so convenient. In 40 minutes, you're in San Francisco.
35.
Yeah, 35. You can't beat that in the car.
A lot of people don't go to San Francisco. Yeah, I mean, I know they do. I know they do.
Well, that's how I go.
We are running out of time actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's my point. Well, I haven't even had an
Okay.
opportunity.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
that's okay. That's okay. I
No,
need
no, you
I need
should.
to go. I need to go.
Gloria, why don't you
Yeah,
go?
I know. I need to go. This has been an interesting observation. My sense, Greg, is that you don't fully understand Palo Alto. That's one of my takeaways. I wonder how much you know about what goes on, what I call outside the Beltway. And to me, outside the Beltway means anything outside of Oregon Expressway. And actually, Oregon hasn't even mentioned it. My other observation is because you take I compliment you enormously for being on the bicycle. I can't do that, but then and there are more and more of us in Palo Alto. There are lots and lots and lots of senior citizens.
That's
And a lot of them go south of Oregon, just because Oregon is a much bigger. They live in North Palo Alto too, but I commend you for your bicycle. But a lot of people don't lead the kind of life you do, or do the same things that you do. That's why I took Liz Nis to task in terms of her comments. I wonder how often you go beyond. I hope you can prove me wrong. Going beyond Oregon Expressway. Do you know where Loma Verde is? Do you know where Cowper is?
Well, my office used to be. I used to go bike on Loma
Did
Verde
you?
all the
Okay,
time.
that's
So
good.
I did it for many years.
Yeah.
So actually,
Do you-
as a bicyclist, I know that area quite well.
You do? Okay, well, that's good. I asked Liz Nis if she knew it too, and I asked anybody on the city council
My office,
if they know.
my old office used to be kind of an industrial, like the San Antonio 101 area. So I used to go. I used to go through
that's
that way.
good. Yeah.
So I happened that particular.
You know,
I happened to know it quite well.
okay, yeah.
So-
But there are lots of neighborhoods and things, and I really wonder how informed the city council is about those neighborhoods. I doubt if anybody knows Walnut Grove.
That's true.
Do you know where Walnut Grove is?
No.
I bet you don't. Do you know where it is?
No.
No. Do you know where?
No.
Well, you should know.
Walnut?
Actually. Walnut Grove. You should know.
Walnut Grove. I probably know. I've probably been on the street.
You've been on it.
Let me look up where it is.
No. Not important.
That's where you.
And that's where it's a little teeny. My husband called it a cutout. It's this small little cutout. You did that piece for the cutout. Anyway, you've got to go. So I've made a few points. I have many more to make. I live on the corner of Mumford and Charleston. I'd like to tell you about the traffic problem on that street.
Go ahead and tell me.
Yeah.
I'd like to tell you about the 20 cars that I have to wait before I can get out onto my street.
That's
I'd
the
like
same
to-
as mine.
I'd like to tell you about the cars that go 60 miles an hour. If the lights are good, if it's the middle of the night, God knows how fast they go. What else can I tell you? See, my perspective is mainly as a motorist. And when I wrote the letter, one of the letters I wrote to the city council,
That's good.
I have a
Need more
lot.
of you.
See, I have discretionary time. I told them that I'm happy to give up my car, but do not make me wander through the neighborhoods, which is where the bus goes down. I don't have all day. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm retired.
That's
I don't
really
have
the
all
point.
day. And I'm not going to wander around South Palo Alto before I get downtown. So if you want me to get out of my car, then you have to offer me something that.
That's the key.
Yeah. And I don't do Uber. Why should I do Uber? Why
Yeah,
should
right.
Why should I pay for that?
Exactly.
I
completely
paid-
agree with
I
you.
paid taxes for 43 years. You know. So anyway.
And,
Appreciate
and,
your
so-
comments.
and
so-
you know, it's interesting. Like when I went to City Hall the other day, I saw this huge screen, and I was like, and I know somebody who works in the IT department, and they said, "Oh, we spent like I don't know, gazillion dollars on putting this up because the CIO wanted." It's a fancy screen that you touch it, and it shows you something. I don't even know
I
if
know
it
what you're talking
works.
about. I know what you're talking
Where
about.
is
Yeah.
it? Where is it?
City
You have
Hall.
to go to City Hall. Where is it?
It's in the lobby.
Oh, in the lobby. You check it out. And I'm like, why are you wasting money? And then we have there's the CIO and stuff helping with I don't know what his role is, but I was like, if you're doing technology, he's going and speaking,
Oh,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
has all these jobs, 20 different jobs that different, he gets paid. And he's like a visiting guy who we paid $200,000 from our taxes.
More than that.
More than that,
Really?
exactly.
More than that.
Exactly. And I'm like,
Don't share that.
yeah, so and I feel like that's where money is going instead of
Yeah.
going on thinking about, hey, let's build this
Yes.
little thing, or let's think
Bike
about,
infrastructure.
or
infrastructure.
talking for Caltrain, or talking to
Yeah,
Caltrain
yeah.
and saying, let's get more speed trains, fast
Yeah.
trains that go through during the day and things like that. So I agree with Dory.
Now, the
on
very
that.
last point I'd like to make, and that is that we're only one very long block from the train tracks. God help the people who live near there. Terrible. Anyway, they're going to be, they're going to be modifying that area, and we vote for the one that is less of an intrusion, but still yields the same objective. Do you know how inconvenienced I'm going to be during that time that goes up?
I can imagine.
Do you know that the people, I don't think the city's going to go for eminent domain. If they do, they've got a real,
I agree with you on
they're
that too.
going to have a real problem. But that's the kind of thing, and I live right on Charleston. I'm prepared to have that inconvenience. I have to go one way to get another way.
Mhm.
I have to make a U-turn to get into my house. I'm prepared to do that because I know what
At least there's some benefit.
yeah, there is. And if I were working, I wouldn't feel any differently. Heck, you have to wait for 20 cars to pass anyway. So anyway, that's
Well, thank you
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for your
You
time.
didn't expect to hear so much from
No,
two women.
I appreciate it.
Women
Thank
talk.
Thank you for coming in. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for being involved.
Yes, yes.
So what was your son's name?
All right.
Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
My daughter's name is Eva.
Yeah, okay. I'll mention that. Okay.
She's in the gold team. I don't know what team he's on. Okay. They have all these.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
They're my husband's children.
Oh, Oh wait, we were supposed to talk to Lisa now.
Yeah. Okay.
Is Jen here or no?
Yeah.
Is here too? Okay.